Good morning, ladies. This is Dr. Carol Lourie, and I'm here with Dr. Deb Matthew, who's my dear friend and colleague through the Mindshare community, which we're both part of. And we are here today to talk about everything hormones. Dr. Deb is a hormone expert. She's known as the hormone doctor. And if you have breast cancer, you know that there's a hormone problem. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy practice to be here with us.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here with you today.
So let's talk about hormones. Let's get started. First of all, I know this may be a really basic question, but people hear the words hormones, and I don't think women often know what they are.
Hormones are chemical messengers. So they travel through our bloodstream and they give our cells messages to tell them what to do. And sometimes the message is to tell the tissues and cells to grow or to stop growing or to burn calories or generate more energy, but they're giving our cells messages about what to do. And that's why we often use the term hormone balance, because a lot of times the hormones have equal and opposite actions. So if one hormone is kind of high normal and the other hormone is kind of low normal, even if technically they're both in the normal range, they're off kilter, and sometimes we can have symptoms and not feel our best. So we want hormones to be balanced so our cells are getting the right messages and we can be healthy.
Okay, that's great. So we have how do we know we have imbalanced hormones? How do we know? What are some of the symptoms?
Yes, some of the symptoms can be not sleeping soundly at night or not having enough energy during the day. And often those two things go together. We're tired all day and then we can't sleep at night.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Or sometimes we can have symptoms like breast tenderness or fluid retention. We're puffy, our rings are too tight, and we just retain fluid. Bloating or skin changes. There's all sorts of symptoms that can happen. And sometimes it can be tricky because there's different things that can cause those symptoms. So we don't always know for certain if it's the hormones or not, but we do know that it's important to do our best to try to have healthy hormones.
Right. And the good news is we have lots of regular medical testing and functional medicine testing to diagnose where some of the problems could be. And let's just talk a little bit about testing for a minute. Yeah. So where do you start in your practice? Some woman comes in, she has fatigue, maybe breast tenderness, bloating. What's the hierarchy that you get started with?
Yeah. In terms of which tests do I do, like urine, saliva, or blood?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Which hormones? Okay. So we can measure hormones in urine testing, saliva testing, or blood testing. And there are different reasons why I might choose one over the other. The most comprehensive testing that we can do is actually a urine test, because it tells us the level of the hormones, but it also tells us the breakdown products, and your pattern of how your body is breaking down these hormones can give us some important information.
That's the Dutch test.
That's the Dutch test. Mm-hmm. That's right. So I really like that test, and I do that test a lot.
Me too.
It's not covered by insurance, and so sometimes we can get blood testing, and often we can get that covered by health insurance. And if your level is low, if your estrogen level is low, if your testosterone level is low, then your level is low. And at least we know your level is low. It doesn't always give us all the extra patterns, but it's okay. And then for cortisol, which I think we'll talk about that one in a little bit, actually saliva testing can work well for that one too.
Great. Okay, let's talk about cortisol, because you and I had spoken about that before we started with our live. Let's talk about cortisol, which is such an important hormone.
Yeah, I think cortisol is especially important for anybody with any kind of chronic health illness, any kind of cancer, right? This is our stress hormone. And cortisol goes up to help us cope with stress. So in the short term, that's a good thing. It's helping us cope with stress. The problem is when we have stress day in and day out, our cortisol levels can become chronically elevated. And when our cortisol levels are chronically elevated, that's not helpful. We don't sleep soundly. It affects our mood, but it affects our immune system. And of course, your immune system is your first line of defense against cancer. We want an optimal immune system. So a cortisol problem gets in the way. So cortisol levels can be too high. That's not good. But also cortisol levels can drop inappropriately. And now you don't have enough cortisol to help you cope with stress. And that's when we can feel just exhausted, overwhelmed, burned out. Even little things feel so stressful and exhausting, even just like getting home from the grocery store and unpacking your groceries and getting dinner on the table.
Oh,
And
yeah. That's horrible if you don't have enough cortisol. It's
yeah,
like this
it just
task.
life feels so much harder no matter what you're going through. And I think it's important to mention that when we talk about stress, we mean you're busy and you're worried, like the emotional stresses that you know about. But it's also physical stressors. So being sick, being on medications, having insomnia or pain, those kinds of physical things are very stressful on your system. And there are lots of chemicals that we're exposed to in the environment that are also stressing out our system, even if we have no idea that it's happening to us. So all of those things put together impact our cortisol level. And cortisol is the one hormone that tends to go up with age. All our other hormones tend to go down with age, but cortisol often goes up with age, and it just ages us at an accelerated rate. So having healthy cortisol levels is so, so important to how we feel. It's important for a healthy, strong immune system, and it's important for all your other hormones because cortisol regulates all your other hormones. And so when cortisol is out of whack, then the rest of your hormones don't do their job properly either.
Well, this is a big one for me. Cortisol ages us at an accelerated rate. Nobody wants to be premature aging. Not at all. We don't want that. And so cortisol it helps determine the balancing of the rest of the hormones in your body too, right?
That's right. For example, thyroid is another really important hormone. Thyroid is important for energy. It's important for a sharp memory. It's important for our mood. It's important for actually even libido and interest in sex. So it's important for burning calories and generating energy. So if our thyroid is kind of low, we feel more tired, more cold. We struggle more with our weight. And both our thyroid gland, your hair falls out, you get constipated. And oh my God, this is my personal story, actually, that I was hypothyroid, and I knew that I was on thyroid medicine for 10 years. And yet I still had all those symptoms: cold, tired, dry skin, hair falling out, all the rest of it. And in my conventional medical training, all they taught us to do was measure a TSH, which is the standard screening test,
thyroid stimulating hormone.
Thyroid, and yet I still had all the symptoms. It wasn't until I made my way to functional medicine that I realized, oh, there's all these other things that we can do in order to help your thyroid. And so now I feel like a completely different person. But one of the reasons that my thyroid medicine wasn't working for me was because I had lots of stress. I'd been through medical school and residency and had 4 babies. I had lots of stress in my life. And all of that stress.
4 beautiful babies.
4 boys, like back to back. But all of that stress was causing my cortisol level to go out.
I wonder why. How was it possible to do that without having stress?
And, the truth is, of course, I felt exhausted all the time. But I had 4 boys, so I just accepted that was how I was going to feel. I didn't know there was more to me. I didn't know I could feel better. But the cortisol was interfering with how that thyroid pill was working in my body. I couldn't activate the thyroid hormone and use it. And so once I learned that and changed how I was doing thyroid, I felt so much better. I still had the same 4 boys. I still had the same life circumstances, but everything about me changed. So stress messes up how your thyroid works. It keeps us from feeling our best.
Yeah. So when we talk about hormones, it's really important for the women who hear this to realize that hormones are not something outside of yourself. Oh, it's my hormones. Hormones are part of who you are, and you have the ability to impact how they respond to each other, if they're healthy or not. Are they in relationship to each other? How imbalanced or out of balance they are? And that is the beauty of, as Dr. Deb said, functional medicine and what we both do. And this is part of the empowered approach to life. I mean, we need to begin to realize that our health is not outside of ourselves. Our health is part of who we are. And one of the first ways that I always talk to women about is changing how you eat.
Yes.
let's talk about the foundational approach, I think, which is what are we putting in our mouths? What messages are we giving to our body with the food that we feed ourselves?
Yes. And so of course, healthy nutrition is so important to our health. And I find that a lot of people don't make the connection between what they're eating and how they're feeling. And, I have a funny story about my baby is a freshman in high school. And he came to me one day and he said, Mom, I'm not feeling good lately. My stomach's been bothering me. I think I need to eat healthier. And I felt like I did such a good job. He recognized that how he felt had to do with what he ate. But the very next thing out of his mouth was, I think I'm only going to eat Chick-fil-A once a day, which is like our fast food restaurant, right? So, but at least he made that connection. So knowing that what you eat impacts how you feel and impacts how your body functions, that's just such an important factor. So the things that make things worse would be sugar, right? Sugar drives inflammation, it drives insulin, it feeds cancer cells. We want to really do our best to minimize sugar. Alcohol is not so helpful either. And then the kinds of oils that we're putting in our bodies make a very big difference for hormones. And the reason that fats and oils are so important for hormones is the way the hormones work is the hormone molecule floats through your blood vessels, floats through your bloodstream. And when it gets to your cell, it has to dock into a cell receptor right on the surface of your cell, like a lock and a key. And so how healthy your cell membrane, the wrapping of your cell, that's where the cell membranes live. And if your cell membranes are stiff and inflexible, then nutrients can't get inside your cells very well. Waste products can't get out. And those hormone receptors won't be properly responsive and your hormones won't work. So what makes your cell receptors stiff are the unhealthy fats, trans fats, deep fried foods. What makes those cell membranes soft and flexible so that the right things can get in and out of your cells, your hormone receptors can work and do their job, are the healthy fats. So avocado, olive oil, nuts and seeds. So if we could leave people with like one thing that you can do that's not so hard, because we want to try to find the easiest things first, right?
Absolutely.
Lots of things can be hard. The one easy thing to do is when you are grocery shopping, skip the vegetable oils, the corn oil, the safflower oil, the soybean oil, and buy the healthy ones, the extra virgin olive oil, the avocado oil. They're a little bit more expensive. They're kind of hidden farther on down the shelf, but that's an easy decision to do at the grocery store. It's $1 or $2 more, and then it's just done. And then whenever you cook, you've got it sitting right there. Makes a big difference for your hormones.
Absolutely. And the concept about is it's a little bit more expensive. It's like you're not buying soda. You're not buying those prepackaged bags of, Nabisco chocolate chip cookies or pastries that are made by the store that you're shopping in. And so it adds up. I mean, you're just divorcing yourself from all of that unhealthy food that is very expensive, because every time you buy something that's in a box that has been processed, where they take out the live food and they put these chemicals back in, you are supporting unhealth for yourself and our world and the standard American diet. The initials are SAD, and it's not just sad, it's dangerous, right?
Yeah. One more food, if we stick with food for just a second,
Yeah,
one more food group that deserves an honorable mention for hormones is cruciferous vegetables. That's like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts. And the reason that those ones are so good for hormone balance is because there's actually nutrients in these vegetables that helps your body process estrogen in healthier ways. So when we do a Dutch test, we can see how your body is breaking down estrogen and if it's going down the pathway that promotes breast cancer or helps prevent breast cancer. And these foods actually help your body to metabolize estrogen in a healthier way. And they're good for you for lots of other reasons. They've got fiber and minerals and all sorts of things. But I tend to recommend to women to eat one serving a day of one of those broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, one of those things in that food group.
That's great. And it's not hard to eat one serving of that a day. I mean, they're available all the time. And the other thing I want to suggest really strongly is right now we have the good weather coming up, and it's really much less expensive and really wonderful to support your local farmers by going to the local farmer market, which I do where I live every Sunday. Um, you are getting much more for your money, and you are ensuring that you're bringing in food into your home, which should be a toxic free home, a toxin free home. You don't want to have chemicals that in your cleaning products, or that you're using your laundry and then you know wrap your body in it, and you when you come out of a hot shower and get exposed to those chemicals from the dryer sheets, which are big estrogen disruptors. When you shop at the farmers market and you bring organic only into your home, you're making sure that you're eating really clean vegetables, and you're using your dollars to support a local farmer. I think that's a really, and it's, you just get the vegetable. It's not wrapped in plastic or anything, right?
I heard something that was new to me, and I was really surprised and pleased actually to hear this. But I don't know, maybe you knew this already, but apparently gardeners have 36% less risk for dementia. And I'm not sure that it's been exactly explained why that is, but you're putting your hands in the dirt, you're eating presumably your vegetables, I don't know. But I think that's changed my personal attitude about gardening just a little bit. And I think this year I'm going to make sure to get out there and plant a garden. So
Oh,
even
that's
just
beautiful. I love that. Yeah, just a little one. You can just plant a little bit of basil or lettuce, or
yeah.
you can, a little bit of gardening goes a long way for bringing. There's nothing like going out to the garden. I'm a big gardener. I
Are
used to
you?
grow all my own vegetables. Now I don't have time, but I converted my backyard into this huge garden thing, and I grew enough vegetables for my family and my friends and everything. And I mean, it's therapeutic to be out there. But you go out there and you pick your tomatoes, lettuce, and cucumber, and then
And
you
they taste so
radish.
much better, don't they?
Oh my goodness, there's
Yeah.
nothing like it. Yeah. And you get your hand. My nails used to be horrible because they would always have, no matter how much I scrubbed, there was dirt in there. But we have a friend and colleague, Dr. Maya Shetreat, who wrote the book The Dirt Cure, right? And
Right.
that book is about what you just said about getting your hands in the dirt with the microbes. We've become too sterile in our world, right?
Yes. And a lot of the chemicals, like you said, that we get exposed to from the packaging or microwaving in plastic, or a lot of those are really harmful to various hormones. So a lot of them are estrogen disruptors, as you said, but a lot of those chemicals are harmful for our thyroid gland or our adrenal gland that makes our cortisol. And a lot of them make us gain weight or cause problems with insulin. And those are all things that just, they're not helpful if you're trying to have a healthy immune system.
Right. So that's the other thing that we need to be aware of, that when you have toxins in your home and you're eating non-organic sprayed food, and you're eating too much processed food, then that not only disrupts your hormones, but it's also going to reduce your immune system's ability to be vibrant and look at your cells in there and go, you know what, this is not healthy. I'm getting rid of you.
That's right.
Right. So Liz had a question earlier, who is always on here. Liz, hello. Can you have low thyroid if you have all the symptoms but no weight problem?
Yes, you sure can. And if you're struggling with your weight, that's kind of a clue to your doctor, oh, I should be thinking about thyroid. But if your weight is not, and if you're not overweight, then a lot of times nobody's even going to think about your thyroid necessarily, and you might have to speak up and ask. But for so many women who have thyroid problems, and I lived this, right? Like I said, we feel exhausted. We don't feel like going for a walk. Like sometimes we're eating comfort foods because, we're just so exhausted. We don't feel like cooking. And if your TSH, that's the screening test, if it's normal, then you'll be told that you're normal. And then that your doctor is kind of thinking like maybe you're depressed, maybe you're lazy.
I know that, first of all, it drives me crazy. I think that the TSH, I always encourage women to get a further down panel. Thyroid antibodies, thyroid peroxidase, T3 total, I mean, you need more information.
Or the T3, because with cortisol problems, with inflammation, if you're missing certain vitamins and minerals, because maybe if you've been through chemotherapy, your digestive tract hasn't fully recovered, you may or may not be digesting and absorbing all your nutrients that you need to make your hormones. So these are all different reasons why you may not be activating the T4 made in your thyroid gland into the T3 that your cells need. So that TSH test, that standard test, will look fine. But if you don't have enough of the active T3 hormone, you feel all the symptoms of low thyroid. And it's so frustrating when your doctor tells you that your test is normal. So for me, it took 10 years of living that way. It took a long time to get the diagnosis. 10 years before I learned about functional medicine and got myself sorted out. So yes, absolutely. You don't have to have all the symptoms, and it can still be your thyroid.
So the message here, ladies, is that don't only do a TSH. Talk to the doctor, and if it comes back within normal limits, say, you know what, I think I need a deeper level look at my thyroid, and I need, thyroid peroxidase, TPO, T3 total, T4. I mean, ask for more testing, and don't let them say, well, this was fine. This was normal, so you're fine, because you don't feel well. You're not feeling well. Something is not correct. Right?
That's right. And thyroid and adrenal symptoms overlap. So is it cortisol? Is it thyroid? And you can walk into your doctor's office, and if you've got, those tests written down, you can say, will you measure my, thyroid peroxidase antibodies? Will you measure my T3? And most doctors probably would go along with it if you came right out and asked. Cortisol is so much harder because doctors only know how to look for tumors or an autoimmune condition where your adrenal glands are completely broken. They don't know how to look for anything in between. They don't know what a Dutch test is. And so it's very frustrating. You can't just go in and see your regular doctor and ask for a cortisol test, because you're not going to get the kind of test that we're talking about here. No. It really needs to be that you work with a functional medicine practitioner, naturopath, something like that.
Right. And how do we find a functional medicine practitioner? It's very easy. What's the website? Well, you can Google functional medicine practitioner with your city and state, but you can also go to WIFM, Institute of Functional Medicine.org, right?
IFM.org.
Right.
Yes.
IFM.org. And we can find Dr. Deb by, what's your website?
Signaturewellness.org.
And you are located in?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Do you do telemedicine?
We do telemedicine, but we do require that people either have to be in North Carolina or they have to come and see us at least one time in order to establish, because I'm licensed here in North Carolina.
Right. So that's the deal. If you either come to North Carolina, it's a beautiful state, and do a visit of the state and do a little vacation to see Dr. Deb, or you have to live in North Carolina. And we have that also in California. So that is similar law here. So any last parting words to the community? Because I know you have patients you need to get back to.
Yeah, the thing that I think I would say is I would like for women to feel empowered that we do have some control over our own health. So we can't control all the circumstances, but we really do have a lot of control. You can't wait for your doctor to fix you. And I know that's why you're all here, is because you are taking control of your health. But I truly believe that living well is the best medicine.
And living well means what?
It means fueling your body with the healthy food that you need. It means moving your body, having healthy ways of dealing with stress, getting enough sleep, respecting yourself, your boundaries, making sure that you're nourishing your soul, you have a sense of community, you have some passion in your life. So all of those things are so important. Sometimes they're not so easy, but they make such a big difference.
I think that just even knowing what they are, because some people are so disconnected, they don't even know what is community, what is a passion. A passion is something that you do that has nothing to do with paying the bills or keeping the house clean or doing the dishes. It just has to do with I love this. And you get to just zone out and nurture yourself, whether it's art or gardening or knitting, or, for some people it's exercising. So, I think that's a very important component of what we do, and helping people figure out what they need to feel well in their life and have a life of joy and fulfillment. It's not just about working and making the beds and doing the laundry. It's also about being vibrant. And in order to do that, we need to stack our health and figure everything out in a systemic way. So that's, when you come in and you're not feeling well and you feel like your life is a mess, Dr. Deb and I work very systematically to help you first diagnose what's the real problem, and then how do we help you get your life back slowly but surely.
Yeah. And it is possible that, like, everybody should have hope that even if you feel like seems overwhelming, that step by step you can do it.
Step by step is the key, right? And thank you so much. Well, thank
Thank
you for your being here and sharing your wisdom and your years of experience with us. And it was lovely to hang out with you. And I look forward to seeing you at Mindshare, hopefully this year. And to all of you ladies who are listening now and later, and on my YouTube channel, if you have any issues or questions, you can always reach out to me, support@thepathofbreastcancer.com. And Dr. Deb's website is signaturewellness.org. So this is Carol Lourie signing off for now. Thank you for being here, and there'll be more later. Thank you so much, Dr. Deb.
Bye.